we're good to go. Okay, everyone. Welcome to the 34th Platform and Treasury Council recurring meeting. Today, we're going to have we're going to do a recap of the last meeting, and then we're going to have some Telcoin network updates. We're going to update everyone on the unified web presence. We have another proposal for a Claude AI TELIP, and then we'll open for Q&A and then cover the dates for the next meetings. So the next meetings are going to be April 9th, April 23rd, and May 7th. So mark your calendars. Alrighty. So today we'll cover governance initiatives, platform developments, and upcoming proposals. And then we will post the agenda in the chat right now. These biweekly meetings are meant to provide transparency into council operations, offer proposers a forum to present directly to council members and community, and maintain consistent communication across the global ecosystem. What we are building, the Internet of Money, 7 billion people connected by mobile phones, yet unable to truly own and move the money the way they own and move data. The Telcoin Association is changing that, establishing Telcoin Network and TEL as the blockchain and token standard for global telecommunications. Telecoms run the internet. With Telcoin Network, they also process blocks, securing the settlement layer for digital finance accessible to every mobile subscriber worldwide. The platform architecture, 3 integrated layers working as one system. Telcoin Network, EVM-compatible Layer 1 blockchain validated exclusively by the GSMA. Mobile network operators introducing an entirely new revenue stream for telecoms. Then we have Telex, the liquidity layer enabling user-owned self-custodial asset exchanges. And then TAN, mobile applications connecting users to blockchain financial services and each other. We have 4 minor groups with shared governance. The platform operates through equal stakeholders. First, we have validators, GSMA MNOs securing the blockchain and earning transaction fees. Then we have liquidity miners, providing liquidity to enable decentralized exchanges. Third, we have developers building compliant mobile applications. And then fourth, we have stakers, users driving adoption and connecting payment networks. Each miner earns fees until issuance, aligning telecoms, developers, liquidity providers, and users across the value chain. GSMA validation rights scale to billions through existing infrastructure. Distributed ownership turns participants into defenders, viral at launch, defensible at scale. Then we have TEL, the native token. TEL powers the network as a gas token, staking asset, and governance mechanism. Miners stake TEL to participate, earn fees from transactions, and harvest issuance flows. Staked TEL determines both earning power and governance influence. Then we have democratic governance. The Telcoin Association operates as a Swiss variant with 5 elected councils. Platform and Treasury councils hold global authority over platform-wide systems and token economics. We work alongside TAN Council, Telex Council, and the Compliance Council. Our dual mandate. We oversee sustainable platform provisioning, planning infrastructure and collective goods, and responsible TEL allocation, regulating token distribution for miners to harvest based on productive contributions. Why does this matter? Every decision shapes whether we achieve our vision, uniting GSMA, mobile operators, and billions of users around shared blockchain infrastructure, where money moves like data, accessible to every mobile phone globally. Our commitments. As your elected representatives, we commit to thoughtful proposal review, consistent communication, transparent platform updates, and faithful execution of the governance framework you've entrusted to us. Now, let's proceed with today's agenda. So there's going to be a quick recap of the last meeting before we move on to this meeting. So the quick recap from 2 weeks ago. On the network front, Grant joined Parker and Ryan at MWC in Barcelona, MWC 2026, holding discrete executive level meetings with MNO and GSMA leadership, gaining direct insight into how operators plan to utilize Telcoin Network once live. The protocol team completed a major database overhaul, a critical production level optimization that cleared the path for testnet, now moving through final administrative setup before launch with an initial cohort of 5 MNO validators. Testnet was structured as a long-term parallel network to Mainnet, expected to be the most stable release yet, though likely to undergo at least one reset due to ongoing security assessments, and a growing pipeline of operators prepared to join shortly after initial test launch. Then on the unified web presence front, Derek covered the Telcoin's website redesign, that it's in the early stages, currently focused on wireframes, user journeys, and competitive analysis, with a choose your track experience being built to guide retail users, MNOs, validators, and developers into tailored pathways, leading to a demo site in 4 weeks, and ultimately unified hub for all ecosystem resources. Then from MWC Barcelona 26, Parker was at the Mobile World Congress, the world's largest connectivity conference, bringing together mobile operators, device makers, and tech providers. So 3 points there. Telcoin stood as the only blockchain network at MWC Barcelona. I'll say that again. Telcoin stood as the only blockchain network at MWC Barcelona with over 100,000 attendees, signaling industry consolidation while holding global operator meetings focused on payments infrastructure adoption and validator participation. There was a clear shift in telecom sentiment, moving from past indifference to active interest in tokenizing currencies, deploying on-chain apps, and joining the network, highlighted by Vitel, which has over 200 million subscribers publicly engaging on blockchain use cases. They're a huge MNO. And then dozens of long cycle deals are now in motion post MWC alongside near final strategic telecom and GSMA advisory alignment, positioning Telcoin for accelerated validator onboarding and momentum into mainnet launch. And then lastly, on the governance front, we had Manu from Finland introduce himself, who was running for the open compliance seat in the validator minor group. Voting actually ends tomorrow on the 27th. However, we've already reached 100% snapshot, so now we must undergo compliance approval within 30 days of the end of the vote. So that is the recap from the last call. And then now we'll move on to the agenda for today. So the first update that we have, Grant, if you're there, we have a Telcoin network updates.
All right. Thanks, James. Since our last update, the team has improved how the network handles large bursts of transactions that are submitted to RPCs. We're talking about batches of over 100 transactions that are run on a script that a lot of crypto native projects might use a blockchain for. And it's a really important stress test milestone. We're also looking to develop more tools that can help stress test future deployments of the network. So with that, we've begun adding support for DApp developers to directly connect to observer nodes and access real-time blockchain data without needing to subscribe to an RPC provider. And that really, it lowers the barrier for builders who want to integrate with Telcoin Network and makes that data quickly accessible and improves that performance in the DApps instead of traditionally having to subscribe to a third-party RPC, which gets the updates and then forwards them along. So that's a really cool feature and kind of expanding more outside just Telcoin Network, but also into Telcoin Application Network and supporting DApp developers there. We've also moved to CLI tooling for onboarding new nodes to the network and specifically supporting staking transactions for validators. And then we're currently working to improve some syncing times for new nodes. With that, we've identified a need to last time we mentioned the need to harden epic boundary records, which is another way to support new nodes joining the network. And with that, tied closely with our underlying database infrastructure. So since then, we've completed the complete overhaul of our database layer, which is huge foundational improvement and makes the network a lot more reliable and resilient under high volume conditions. So I'm pleased to share that the docs at our docs site here, docs.telcoin.network, have several new entries this week that cover Telcoin network specifics about how base fees work, gas limit penalties, EVM compatibility, epic boundaries, and canonical updates, and just kind of how to conceptualize how the chain grows. So if you're a developer or you're just kind of curious about how the technical sides of the network work, it's a great resource to understand the subtle nuances of Telcoin network protocol. Now, in more exciting news, we've completed a soft launch of Telcoin Network's Adiri testnet. So the soft launch in this context means that the network is live. It's announced to a limited audience before its full official launch. And that kind of lets us just observe real world behavior and catch edge cases and make targeted improvements before opening things up more broadly and announcing it more loudly. So if you're on this call, congratulations, a little insider scoop, but really we're already iterating based on what we're seeing and finding some new ways to really tweak the network for full-scale production. On the ecosystem front, we've begun processing the process of integrating with Layer 0 and started their onboarding process. So Layer 0 is a cross-chain messaging protocol that enables cross-chain bridging. In fact, our very own council member, Parker, he is at DOS this week in New York, unable to make the call today, but he is able to meet with the leadership team yesterday at Layer 0 and just, kind of reaffirm our mutual alignment. So with that, we've also decentralized the testnet faucets so that MNO partners can run independent faucets and other DApp developers. Really, it's decentralized. So anyone who wants to sponsor funding transactions on testnet. So again, the Tel on testnet is no real value. It's just mostly for developers and other users who want to test before going into production. But that's really a big step towards giving the network partners more autonomy and how they're participating and supporting Telcoin network. So I do want to say, though, this is being the soft launch. The Telcoin network faucet page is currently being updated to be the first Adiri testnet faucet with this new decentralized approach. But development work is heavily underway, and we're going to have that operational before our official Adiri testnet launched in the coming weeks. So testing-wise, we have extensive end-to-end testing that's continuously improving and covering more edge cases. We've continued to uncover some minor bugs that have been really tricky, and the team is addressing them immediately as they come up. And that's exactly how the process is expected to work, right? We're methodically working through test scenarios, identifying issues, thinking through new edge cases, and resolving them before they reach production. It's this kind of security-first approach that we've committed to. On that note, we're also increasingly integrating AI for these security scans and debugging the tens of thousands of lines of logs that we have, which has really made an impact on the productivity and the efficiency for this sort of bug hunting. So to wrap it up, the testnet soft launch is going well. It's actively being improved. So our infrastructure and tooling is continuing to improve as more users are using the network and MNO partners are integrating in the data centers. So our documentation is expanding. We have new integrations underway, and we'll have our roadmap updates soon on the website, roadmap.telcoin.network. Big thanks to Nick and Derek for keeping that maintained for us. That's a really, really important tool. So yeah, and with that, I just want to invite anyone to stay on the call. I'll be on the call at the end of the meeting to answer any questions that come up. So thank you.
Awesome. Thanks, Grant. We appreciate all the updates and all the hard work you're doing over there. We internally get to see all the different updates, and there's a lot of stuff that's being done in the background. So a lot of testing going on, a lot of communication happening. So we're definitely working. So thanks so much for the update, Grant. Now we'll move on to the unified web presence, the next topic on the agenda. Nick or Blue Lights, if you could cover that, that'd be great.
Yeah, thanks, James. Yeah, we're doing really well. We're trying to keep up with Grant and team because they're going at 100 miles an hour. So we're trying to align this. The whole point about this unified web presence is to align all of our, fractured websites that we've got, the telcoin.org, the telex.network, the telcoin.network, to fundamentally bring them all together in a unified kind of presence that makes it a lot easier for different visitors who come across the page. So, you know, we might have a general user, you might have someone who's interested in Tell the token, you might have a developer that's heard about the network, you might have an MNO that's you know, heard about it and gone to the site. So we are coming to the end of the 4-week/5-week UX research phase. We've been working extremely hard on that, and the company we're working with have done a fantastic job. We have got some concepts now, UI concepts, covering mobile, homepage, MNO page, developer page. And the key thing is that we're almost there. We've now got some more eyes are going in to look at the final kind of concepts, and we're actually having a meeting tomorrow to discuss the building phase of the concepts and everything. We need to work on content later on when it's time, but right now, you know, I wish we could show everybody, but we're going to save that because it's I think everyone's going to really like it. But you know, there is a really good user journey path. When you land on the homepage, you're already given, you know, different journeys if you're an MNO, if you're a developer, or if you're a DeFi user. So we've got, you know, lots of documentation that will be linked in there. We've got a good page for, like I said, a developer landing page. They're going to be given an overview of the different paths of how to develop on the Telcoin network. You know, they can dive deeper into like Grant's docs that they've produced for the network. So all in all, it's really, really good, and all of us as a collective are very happy with exactly where we kind of are now. Some more tweaks need to happen. There's some input from you know, the holding side as well. So, but overall, we're almost at the finish line to close off the research and UX kind of journey phase of the project. And tomorrow we're discussing the building phase of it. We also talked in depth about the SEO and the GEO as well for AI to pick up the content. So there's a lot of hard work going on there, and we discussed analytics going forward to monitor the analytics of the site, of the visitors. So we're all taking it very seriously, and we're all in a great place, really. I'm actually really happy personally with how far. I know Derek is, and I know everyone who's looked at it is impressive. And the council had a kind of a little sneak peek on Wednesday, and we had some good feedback there. So overall, yeah, we're now going to be moving on to the building phase. So it's still going to take a little bit of time, but the whole point was we were aiming to get this done either before mainnet launch or by the latest at the same time as mainnet launch. So I think we're on good time frame. You know, we've got the soft launch of the network, looking for the full launch of the testnet in a couple of weeks if we can, and we might well have this, you know, the new sites all done and dusted before mainnet launches as well. So all in all, we're kind of all on time. Everyone's super happy. Lots of hard work going in there, and really excited to be able to show it to, you know, the community when the time's right. And I think we'll probably be able to do a preview at some point before it all goes live, but we just need to wait till we get a bit further along the lines. But yeah, that's it on the unified web presence side.
Awesome. Thanks, Nick. Yeah, it's a lot of work. It's a lot of work putting it all together and organizing it, and honestly, it could be a little mind numbing. You know, it's really hard to have such a huge project. It's not like Telcoin is just, you know, got one facet of it. It's got so many different things. And so it takes a lot of work, and you know, thanks Nick and Derek for spearheading that along with Anderson and getting that all organized. That's no easy task. It's been meeting after meeting after meeting. So
Yeah.
Awesome. So once we can get all that unified, it's going to be incredible for our project. So getting all of our SEO, getting everything all going into one place finally. It's going to be really good. So awesome. So that's the unified web presence that we're working on. Then the next on the agenda, next topic is going to be the Claude AI proposal that we're working on. And that's going to be by Hayden. Hayden, if you're there, be great if you could cover that for us, please.
Yeah, g'day guys. So this proposal is just to give everyone on the association and those that need it more so, because it will likely be split up between different profiles within it, access to Claude The good thing with this sort of setup is that it covers everything from compliance. Like you can use it for everything from compliance to research to code, marketing, forecasting, dashboards, and hopefully, ideally, by the end of it, we'll be a lot more efficient. We can do a bit more ourselves where we can, and it's just going to help build out what we need to get built out. And when we need help, it's going to be a good, quick, cheap alternative sometimes in outsourcing everything as well. There are a few things we'll have to work through in terms of what plan we use. It's likely to be a team plan with some users on being upgraded to an enterprise consumption-based model. We are going to qualify. We've got the okay to qualify as a non-profit as well. So it does bring down the cost quite a lot. There'll be controls put in place on the usage. So we'll set up an admin team to monitor that as well. But I think in general, it's reasonably straightforward. It's going to help everyone out where they need it. And there's multiple uses that we can use it for, and hopefully it's going to help the association build better, build quicker, and as the network develops as well, when you're looking through the dashboard or forecasting and so forth, and liquidity, then this will really come through as well. So it's got a multiple of users to help out there. And the other part of it as well, we've got users using their own data, using their own information, and on their personal computers. So this will bring it all into the association as well. So, yeah, any questions or thoughts, feedback on it?
I think we'll probably potentially, thanks Hayden for that. I think we'll, I guess, keep that for the next section for Q&A. If you're already done covering the TELIP, it looks great. Proposals extensive and very detailed. So I think it just makes sense for us to have AI. Obviously, everybody's using AI for something, and it makes sense for us to be more efficient. So I don't know if you had anything else to cover on that, Hayden.
Not immediately. It's in the proposal without going into details on all the finer details on the costing and so forth and rough situation. The general use of it's reasonably straightforward. It's also compatible with our Slack and Trello as well, and GitHub and everything else. So there's a lot that it can assist with. For sure, absolutely, most definitely. Awesome. Well, thanks Hayden for that. So that was the Claude AI TELIP, and you can pull that up on the Telcoin forum. It's also in it's also linked as well. So I guess we'll move on to any kind of questions in the chat. Derek, I don't know. I see the chat here. Do you want to?
Yeah, there's a bunch. Yeah, I got them. Hold on. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay. Let's see. These are mostly going to be network ones, as kind of expected. Just to answer. Yeah. I'll kind of let Grant go for it. Here's the first one. Are there more users other than the 5 or so MNOs? Tell us about any institutional partnerships besides MNOs.
So there's no other institutional partnerships besides MNOs, because Telcoin network validators are exclusively tied to the GSMA mobile network operators. So with that, yes, there's a lot more partnerships than just the 5. For the soft launch, though, we're kind of limited to some more advanced partners that we felt comfortable learning with, and that we felt it would be responsible to, with the soft launch, we're going to uncover bugs, and that's exactly what we're doing. So it was not the right time to bring on every single MNO at this time. We are definitely iterating and improving this soft launch, and if anybody's interested in giving it a go and finding out issues, we're happy to hear about it, and any sort of pain points for developers or just general users transferring. But yeah, in the meantime, we are trying to streamline our productivity and protect the reputation that we have worked so hard to earn at this point. And so being very careful about when we say it is actually ready. But I'm confident that we're moving as quickly as securely as possible, and that it is going to be very soon that we're able to announce officially launch testnet with all participating MNOs.
Thank you, Grant. There's a few questions about V5. So just again, a reminder, we can't really, V5 is developed by Telcoin Holdings, which is a separate entity from the Telcoin Association. The association has no knowledge of V5 or their development or their timeline or anything else like that. So there's questions about V5 not being dependent on Mainnet for launch, but is it likely to get launched together, things of that nature. Those are questions that this council has no knowledge of in the first place. So we can't really answer them. Let's see. Are there real MNOs as nodes during this phase of testnet?
Yes.
Yes, that's the exciting part. So everybody was like, well, why are you hyping up this meeting? I'm like, well, because it's exciting. Very exciting. It's extremely exciting. Something we've been working 2 years to get to. So that's awesome. Anyways, is TEL required for all transactions, or are there parts of the system that can run without it?
TEL is required for all transactions, and that's because it's the native token. So on Ethereum, you pay for gas using Ethereum, which is symboled ETH, and for Telcoin network, you will use Telcoin.
Perfect. Thank you, Grant. I can probably answer this one. The network update for me as a normal person or average Joe maybe didn't have anything interesting. I probably didn't understand. We want a safe deployed network, but the progress has been boring. Will the V5 be deployed again before name it? Yes or no for the community would be great. Yes, no, maybe so. Again, we don't know when that rollout's supposed to be. I know Grant was at Barcelona and mentioned on X that the internal testing for that has been going great. Grant, I don't know if you want to say anything else, but I know we can't really talk a lot about it. So let's see.
There was one there about Telscan and the Block Explorer.
Yeah, go ahead, Nick.
I don't know if Grant wants to say something.
Oh yeah, you want to read it out? Because I'm just scrolling. Go ahead.
Yes.
Oh yeah, I got it right here. Is current testnet activity of soft launch basically will it be connected to Telscan.io?
Yes, it is. So we have a partnership with Dex Guru, who manages the Explorer for us. Now, anytime that the network is reset, we also have to reset the Explorer, and it's a lot of cross-team collaboration. So because the testnet is in the soft launch phase, we have not updated the Explorer just yet, but we do have communication open, and we're coordinating with them to have that fully up and loaded very soon.
Thank you. Somebody other than Grant can probably answer this, Leo, maybe, or somebody else. But what concrete steps is the council taking to drive real-world adoption, e.g., more MNO partnerships, regulated banking features, or expansion beyond current listings like Kraken? Anybody want to take that one?
Well, we can start off by we're reorganizing all of the like with the unified web presence, for example. We're getting all our avenues in place, and all of our much more professional unified look of the whole of Telcoin Association and the Telcoin network. Meanwhile, Grant and co and the team there are working, daily with MNOs to get all the hardware installed in the data centers, that the ones that are on the first bunch of onboarding. Holdings are also doing a lot, with meetings at MWC Barcelona. So it's all about, although it's been a slow process, and I know there's some frustration on the outside in the community, but honestly, on the inside of the council here, I can't tell you how busy we've been. Like, it is just like intense. There's so many things going on at the same time, and this soft launch with the testnet has been a major milestone, achieved in moving forward. Now that there is going to be a testnet to be testing stuff on, and MNOs to be spinning up their validators in their data centers, in the hardware, their own hardware in the data centers. So everything's starting to accelerate now, and there's going to be a lot more coming out soon. That's all I can say, really. But yeah, it's all hands on deck. I know it's been a long journey, but we're starting to see the light at the end of the tunnel.
Yeah, I guess to add to that, to what Nick said, yes to all the things mentioned, more MNO partnerships, regulated banking features, all these other listings. Those are all things that obviously the banking features aren't us specifically, but adjacent to, right? So all those things are items in one way, shape, or form that are being touched on and ran through internally. Like Nick said, there's a lot of work going on internally for those items, especially from a developer standpoint.
Yeah, and I think too, once the network is live, we have, we're adding this feature to support for DApp developers to integrate directly with node updates so that they're tied in directly to the network. They don't have to rely on a third-party subscriber to forward that information to them. And then, another thing that on Telcoin network development side that we're doing is expanding support for separate, independent, parallel fee lanes. That would be able to prioritize real world payments and that wouldn't have to compete with base fees adjustments that maybe arbitrage bots are trying to fight for block space.
And that's a game changer. People may not understand that, but that's a game changer.
Yeah, it's big. I mean, so like, for example, like I'll use Solana. Maybe this is a bad example, but I'll use Solana. Nick or Grant can correct me if I'm wrong. Let's say you have a ton of CUs being used because there's tons of transactions being pushed through Solana and it hits the CU cap. Your gas price jumps through the roof because transactions are queuing and they can't transact quick enough. So then you have people paying priority gas fees that are way jacked up in order to get their transaction to the front of the line. Well, imagine if you're I'll just use like a bank that has an app on our network, or a MNO that has an app on our network. You're competing against all the other users essentially to get your transaction done. And this gives different lanes for those transactions to operate. And because of the way that the network is designed, it can handle that throughput. Instead of a single queue, you've got multiple checkout lanes. That's the way I guess I can describe it. Did I get that right, Grant?
Yes, I agree.
Okay, cool. Ty, before we go back to the chat questions, go ahead.
Yeah, hi. Just to follow on from that as well, on the Telex front, there's a lot of work going on currently behind the scenes, which we can't really talk about, but we're evaluating a new way of distributing rewards. We're in communication, direct communication with holdings about new pools that we need to bring on stream. So you won't see anything immediately because there's a lot of evaluation and groundwork and discovery that we have to do. But there is a lot of stuff going on there which won't see the light of day for probably 3 to 6 months. But we are expanding and we are working for fairer distribution and pool rewards, and there's a lot of stuff going on that we just don't want to make public because it's just not appropriate at the time. But rest assured there is stuff going on, which hopefully then in the future will lead to greater adoption and provide better facilities for the community to earn TEL and get involved in DeFi. So yeah, that's all I want to say at this point. Thank you.
Thanks, Ty.
Awesome. Thanks, Ty. I just want to add one last thing, like regarding the question about, what we're doing to drive real world adoption. I think some people may not understand, at least from like conversations that I've had with some people maybe messaging me on X or Telegram. And it's just understanding that like we are, like when we're talking about MNOs, like when we're talking about subscriber base scale revenues, I don't think people have actually maybe done a lot of research and just realized how big this is. Like anything we're doing with an MNO, whether it be Grant working on security or whether we're working on, different things like throughputs or whatever we're doing, or we're doing new MNO partnerships or anything like that. Like a small, like we're talking small MNO or regional players, like 1 to 10 million subscribers, right? Like A mid-tier national one might be 10, 50 million subscribers. Like a large national or multinational, like a larger tier one might be 50 to 150 million subscribers, right? That's just one MNO. And like the global ones are, 200, 300, 500, 700 million. I mean, China Mobile is like 900 million and above. I'm not naming names and saying China Mobile is part of us. I'm just saying, I'm just giving examples, Vodafone is like 300 million plus, I think last time I checked, of subscribers. Like we're talking revenues, 10, 20, 30 billion, 50 billion, 100 billion. So anything that we're doing here will pretty much cover like all the bases. And then we have their users, we have their revenue, they're investing with us. So that should be really a huge vote of confidence if we're saying we even have a handful, much less how many that we're talking to. So I just wanted to add in there for people to, if they haven't done the research all the MNOs and look at them at the small, mid, and large tier and global, like tier one operators, and look at how big they are and look at how they cover their entire country, their entire region, and think about being able to tap into their mobile networks and then their customers and then them building on the network. I just wanted to add that into, when we're talking about real world adoption, I mean, that's where it's at. There's more phones than there are cars in the world, guys, like times5. So it's big.
Was it like 3 addressable devices per every person in the world or something like that?
Yeah.
IP address.
Yep. So if we, the last time I ran the stats, we have, it's 5.6x more cell phones than there are cars in the world, So, I mean, that's pretty big.
And that also goes back to the reason why Grant and the devs are concentrating highly on security, because if you're opening up to that potential user base, security has to be done, really well from the beginning.
Exactly. I mean, and also, I guess just to add on is the fact that everybody else is using, let's say, like a lot of these MNOs are going to have their own internal, like non-AWS, like they're not all using Amazon for their servers and everything, where everybody gets shut down. Like they have their own internal infrastructure as well. So when we talk about like security and infrastructure, like, I mean, it's massive. So it's a huge undertaking. I can only imagine what Grant has to go through to get all this stuff done. And so, yes, the process might be slower than people like, but we're talking about every single MNO partnership. I don't even know how many tens of millions in revenue or more that would eventually end up being for each one, in terms of like what kind of how much volume and transactions that can create. So,
and that's just,
it's huge.
James, also you can imagine they're going to want to develop their own white label, maybe multiple white
100%.
label apps, right? So again, that's a great point. I want to touch on this, and Grant can correct me if I'm wrong too, but I think the thing that I'm most excited about is if you look at the way that validator nodes and these type of networks are developed across blockchain currently, most of them, a blockchain pays a data center, and you host these validator nodes inside of a data center somewhere, right?
Yep.
And all those nodes live on the single rail that data center is, which is great. It works. But when you talk about true decentralization, imagine having essentially multiple, we call them metal rails, meaning that it's built right on the rails of these MNOs, multiple ones around the world. We all remember October 10th, I think, when there was that outage, or the AWS outage that happened. This is a true decentralization of kind of node validation, because if one node goes down on a network somewhere, you've got a bunch of other nodes all around the world on these data center rails, not just all built into one data center, which I think is really, really cool.
Exactly. Yeah, I forgot the terminology, but they're designed to not go down because they can't afford to go down, being a mobile network operator, right? So that's it's huge. It's huge, and I definitely suggest people get in there and do some research.
We'll go to Adam.
Angelica.
Go ahead. Oh yeah, Angelica first.
I think Adam, Angelica first,
and then we'll go back to some chat questions if nobody else is in there. Go ahead, Angelica.
I just wanted to say, let's just compare and contrast how many people the global population are right now, 2026, 8.3 billion. That's how much. We are building the internet of money. We have to scale to 7 billion plus unique users. So think about that, compare and contrast.
Yep, absolutely. Absolutely.
So yeah, that was pretty much on what I was going to go on with. So in the total population, there's roughly around 6 to 7% of people that are now in crypto as of 2026. Imagine if we were to say, look, we're actually opening up to the other 93% of the world. That's mental. That is huge. I don't think everyone's in their crypto bubble, and that there is so much more to this world out there. So when things do kick off, the potential is mind-blowing.
Absolutely. And we have to also consider that whenever there's a new technology, friction to like ease of use, ease to join, that's a huge thing. So if we're going to get on everybody's mobile devices, and then these MNOs are going to be developing their own white labels, like Derek was mentioning, for their own remittances or whatever it's going to be, those are going to be the first ones that get used. And so it's not just about real world adoption, it's first real world adoption. Like what's the easiest with the least amount of friction? What can actually be used by a grandpa, a grandma,
100%.
So,
All right. A few more questions from the chat. I'm going to keep us moving here because there's a bunch. One is about how are security audits going regarding network safety, and which of the phases we're in currently.
All right. So network security is ongoing, and it's one of those things that just never ends. But more specifically, right now we're currently relying heavily on AI penetration testing, as well as security scans. That is, not just a agent or particular tool. It's quite a sophisticated stack that we're working with security experts on. Now, we are continuing to find positive feedback and results from those artificial scans, but we're quickly running out of valid findings. So with the budget being set at $0.003 per tel, and with the current market fair market value being significantly different, we're continuing to rely on the security scans in the short term, and until we are no longer getting any sort of findings or information out of that, in which case we will move forward with the rest of our partners at Spearbit and Cantina, and have our third-party security assessments that are driven by lead and senior security researchers, and adding that human element. But at this time, we're getting a ton of value just from developers, and again, working with some security experts that are supporting the project, who are using our own tokens to support these scans and to make the queries. And we're still finding new ways to improve those security assessments and still getting results. So in the meantime, and being good stewards of the TEL token and our budget, we have prioritized those scans in the short term, but we are fully committed to going through robust security assessments before launching Mainnet.
Thank you, Grant. Moving right along. Grant, maybe you can answer this one. I probably could too. But will MNOs eventually take part in council meetings?
Absolutely, I think, and that's I expect that to happen sooner than later, actually. So for anybody on the validator seat, I think I'm one of those. I think there's a huge opportunity, and Steve, I think, is another one. So when we get to that point where if it's I think there's happy to give up seats for more representation for the actual MNOs. I think as well as I'm in favor of exploring another local council, just like TAN Council and Telex Council, but having like a Telcoin Network Council that would be all seats for comprised of MNO participants. So at this stage we have a lot going on, and just a reminder that the Telcoin Autonomous Operations has the full administrative authority for Telcoin Network in these early days until there are 10 validators operating mainnet nodes on the live mainnet, Telcoin Network mainnet. And the design behind that is not, to consolidate power or to centralize the organization. It's really just to make sure that we have operational efficiency so that we can get to mainnet as quickly and responsibly as possible and set a precedent to move forward. But I'm very much looking forward to opening that up, decentralizing the leadership for the Telcoin network, and just having a solid foundation for launching mainnet that we can build on for years to come.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Sorry, did you have something? Go ahead, James.
Oh no, I just, having MNOs, I think, I think I thought about this when I first joined. It's like, wow, when we were looking at all the different seats and I was trying to decide which council I was even going to be on, and just thinking about the fact that we'd have MNOs in the future on, like, I think people need to understand, like, in the future, these calls will be very different, right? We're going to be talking about TVL and transactions and, new partnerships and new banks and just all sorts of crazy updates and, AI gaming and all sorts of things that are going to be happening on the network. So it just gets me excited hearing about, like, MNOs being in council meetings and them actually being able to represent. We'd eventually want to hand things off to having them, like, taking up a huge part of the council, right? So we would be able to phase out and bring them in.
Definitely. This is a great question because I've asked it before, not directly. But Grant, what's your Starbucks drink? This is from the chat.
I like Dopios, and I like the green tea.
Perfect. So I did this before once, but I created just a donation wallet. I called it a developer coffee fund. So I'll probably send that out again. If anybody in the community wants to buy Grant and Steve and the devs a coffee, I will happily pass that to them. Well deserved. Let's see here. We already kind of answered this. Any major issues while stress testing? That's kind of the purpose of stress testing. Not any major issues, I would say. Some small, normal things that would come up, but yeah, there'll be more stress testing to come. But go ahead, Grant.
Yeah, so I'm, just to kind of share a little bit more insight without getting too much into the weeds, but one of the things we're using our testnet. It's one of the ways that Steve and I and the other developers opening up pull requests on GitHub to share their code. We have an attestation service that will submit a transaction to testnet that verifies that the hash of the code that was committed has been fully tested, and it's part of our PR feedback loop that we can verify that an attestation has been submitted on chain. But that's one example of how we're using testnet. We're also using testnet for a lot of other token scripts, ERC20s, NFTs, and other testing infrastructure. But when I went to go deploy this last time, and we've had some significant upgrades, I ran my script, which has about 300 transactions to deploy all of the contracts and then setting permissions and validating all the deployments. But it was, right after we launched testnet, was the first thing I did. It was just struggling, and I was getting that the mempool was full and stuff. And so, come to find out that actually one of the default settings from the Reth or Rust Ethereum library that we're using had changed the default to only allow 16 transactions in the mempool per address. And so, these types of things are kind of, they're important to find out. And so, we quickly identified, okay, first of all, that's not going to work. Our own scripts don't even work. But, going through, figuring that out, and then also uncovering, like, while we're updating this to expand the RPC to support even more transaction volume, finding other ways to improve that transaction throughput so that, we're living that developer experience as well, testing on our own infrastructure and our own network. And so, yeah, those are the types of things that that's probably the most major thing that we've found so far. The database has been really robust, and network has been stable. We've had several epic transitions for rotating validators in the committees. So all in all, it's going well. But this is also, I'm not convinced that we've thrown everything and the kitchen sink at it yet. And so that's kind of where we're still at. But this is not supposed to be. This is not our official launch. Is not supposed to take months, right? This is. We're quickly moving towards an official launch here, and yeah, I'm really excited to get to that point.
Awesome. Thanks,
and speaking on testing, I don't want to give too much away, but it might be a good idea for the community to listen in on the next TAN call. That's about as much as I'm going to say on that.
Yeah, so I'll remind everybody, but just that's tomorrow or Thursday, next Thursday at 5 p.m. is the next TAN call. And then the telex call is on Wednesday at 3 p.m. Eastern. So 3 p.m. Eastern. Wednesday is the telex call, and 5 p.m. Eastern time is the TAN call. But yeah, listen into that TAN call. So there should be some more fun stuff we're able to announce then.
Yep, some stuff cooking in the kitchen.
Yep. All right, let me keep. We got a few more to get through here, so I don't want to keep moving. Is Storm still our marketing partner? Yes, is the answer to that. Absolutely. Is... Of course, my headset just died. I apologize. Can you guys still hear me?
You sound better
All right,
now.
good.
You actually sound better.
Okay. All right. Good. All right.
Throw that in. Throw
Let's
that
see.
in.
Funny how that works, huh? Yeah. You guys know me and my mic problems, and I have no voice. Let's see. I'm not really sure what DD25669 means by this, but is the Telcoin call center set up now for MNOs during this testing period, or will that come up with Mainnet? So, assuming that means onboarding MNOs, and as Grant had shared, that's set up. That's now. That's happening. Grant, if you want to elaborate, you certainly can. Otherwise, I'll keep going. Perfect. Let's see here. Just gonna keep going here.
Yeah, the DApps question.
I'm getting there. I'm scrolling. I'm working my way down. James, yeah. Somebody said we need to see results. We've known this stuff for years. This is literally the culmination of the results. This is everything that's the launch of testnet, as Grant has shared. Testnet is a carbon copy of mainnet, and it's an onboarding environment that will never go down, as he shared kind of last week. So this is a really cool moment. And once the official, the soft launch is great, but then the official testnet launch is even better. So are there planned DApps, so DApps on Telcoin network from MNOs besides remittance shared with Telcoin Association? If yes, what are those? I don't know if anybody wants to take this, maybe Grant, but I know we can't share what those are, but go ahead.
Yeah,
Grant.
I mean that was a big talking point with the partners that we met at MWC this year. There's a lot of excitement. I think safe to say stablecoin payments and real world payments are an obvious use case for any blockchain technology, and it's a very easy use case for the mobile network operators to see the potential in the blockchain technology. And with the prevalence of stablecoins and the GSMA even publishing a white paper on the importance of stablecoins in the future and their dominance and superiority, there's significant interest in moving mobile money solutions onto blockchain and really taking advantage of the performance enhancements such as instant settlement, smaller transaction fees, and there's a whole suite of really significant improvements that blockchain can provide to the mobile money players and MNOs.
Hey Grant, could you add on to that and just maybe explain to the community why they might do it with us versus on another network or another chain, or anything that?
Yeah. So I'm first and so I think having diverse blockchain solutions is fine. We are in the position where we'd rather outcompete competitors than try to pigeonhole and force MNOs to only use our chain. And so there are other MNOs that are using other chains, but they are also they come with problems. For instance, just sticking to popular blockchains here, Bitcoin and Ethereum, they maximize and prioritize anonymity, decentralization at the cost of scalability. And what that ends up being is, you can run those protocols on your laptop, and your laptop could be 10 years old. You're going to be just fine. There's 12-second block times on Ethereum, and you have a completely anonymous validator set. But you also have that comes at the cost of being able to consolidate hardware requirements, and the blockchain is really only as fast as its slowest node. And so, there is an intentional design for these other protocols to reduce hardware limits and specifications so that more consumer-grade hardware can participate in the protocol. We have a radically different perspective, and we're not the only ones who've done this, but we've decided that we are willing to sacrifice some of that theoretical decentralization that anybody on a laptop that's within the last 10 years could run the protocol and say, well, we actually have a minimum standard. And it's pretty robust. It's a beefy hardware. There's high standards for our validator nodes, and what that lets us do is maximize transaction throughput. And there's there's going to be growing challenges and ways to improve that over time. And there's other, Ethereum has ideas too on how they can scale. And, there's plenty of hardcore Bitcoin users and developers who have, grandiose ideas on like how to improve that protocol as well for scalability. And that's all fine. But ultimately what the MNOs have to engage with is a wide variety of validator operators who all have to come to agreement on a serious protocol change. And that's really hard to do when you have some validators, such as mobile network operators that might want to participate in Ethereum, who are extremely regulated. They're one of the most heavily regulated industries on the planet, up there with banking and other money institutions. And so, a protocol decision that might increase privacy and reduce increase privacy and increase anonymity may not be in the best interest of a mobile network operator who has to maintain some sort of regulatory perspective on this. Now, that's not to say that Telcoin network is going to be that Telcoin network is going to be censored, or that there's some sort of like other scaling. No, it's really to provide a consortium of mobile network operators, a consortium of validator nodes who already have come together to operate the largest networking in the world and the mobile networks. They have standards and they know how to work together as an industry to achieve massive scale. They are experts in networking and reliability. And they are also, they have great reputations to uphold and protect. And so, instead of getting mixed up and lumped into the Tornado Cash projects and, these other sort of like really oversimplified projections and of particular blockchain projects, this is sort of a stepping stone for industry players to come in and take advantage of blockchain technology without having to go all in on a completely decentralized anonymous protocol. And I think there's a really, really strong interest from GSMA leadership and mobile network operators in having a protocol and a standard that is familiar in how they are currently operating their mobile networks, and having a blockchain network where they can, this is designed to fold into their existing solutions, but with a focus on blockchain instead of data packets, and that's it in a nutshell. I could go on, but I'll stop there.
Oh, that's great. That makes it a little more clear. And I think what you said was, they're used to working together. So I think making that standard, and then them being able to do that and then scale that with us. I mean, it sounds perfect. So yeah, thanks for that answer.
Okay. I'll also just, before I move to the next question, we got like 2 or 3 left. You got to remember, Grant is one of the people that is talking directly with these MNOs. So if you put that in the context, I think you can put 2 and 2 together, guys. So remember. Yep. Let's see here. Down here. Mitch says green tea rocks, so that's great. Aren't those security assessments 2 to 3 months long? Correct me if I'm wrong here. I'm not sure. Grant can speak to that, but I also know that, security assessments never stop. Regardless if the network's running or not. We're still, from what Grant has said, I believe in the past, we'd still be doing security audits periodically and working with our partners. But Grant, you can elaborate if you'd like.
Yeah, it really is just kind of the balance of finding value. And currently we're still finding value with significantly cheaper options. Until that is done and we are no longer getting value there, then we'll move on to continue to find value. Ultimately, we're trying to move as efficiently and responsibly as possible.
Thank you, Grant. And there's one more follow-up to that from Didi, who he had asked a question earlier. What I meant was several weeks ago was mentioned that there would be technical support for MNOs. Is that established yet? The answer is yes. That's part of the white glove onboarding process into testnet. So the team is engaging with them, and technical support is in process as helping them with the process of onboarding into the system. Essentially, the thumbs up there, Grant. So I know Grant is working with them, as are others. Let's see. Did I miss any? There's more questions about V5. So just a reminder again, we can't go into any details about V5 because that is a Telcoin Holdings product. That is the wallet with Telcoin Holdings. There was a question, Grant, and I don't know how you want to address or answer, but they were asking about how Telcoin Network will work with apps like the wallet.
Yeah, I could jump into that. So Telcoin wallet is currently the first, and they're the first DApp developer on Telcoin application network. We have some other applications that are kind of in the process of going on. Ultimately, that the application developers need to build on Telcoin network. That's the part of the vertical stack and the Telcoin platform. So without Telcoin network, it's kind of there is some delay in fully onboarding other participants. But the ultimate goal is to, the DApp developers would be able to support staking Tel and interacting with Tel, building on Telcoin network, help generate that volume for the network and the protocol. Another requirement is their GSMA partnership and participation. So did that answer the question, Derek?
I think so. Like, they were just asking how to work with the network. And I think, basically without, please correct me if I'm wrong, Grant, but like when Grant says build on the network, that means utilize the network for transactions and volume.
Yes.
So they would, with Telcoin Holdings being one of the first DApp developers, they would utilize the Telcoin network for their transactions and volume. And obviously, as Grant has shared, we have cross bridging as well with Layer 0, as Grant had said today, and that provides other interpolarity or interoperability to other chains.
Exactly. Well said.
So bridging, things of that nature that you see kind of in like Uniswap, for instance, is what comes to my mind just as somebody that uses products. Let's see if we have anything else. That seems to be all the questions, unless I missed any. Any from the council?
There was
Did I miss one?
There's one about corridor activation.
Go ahead. My feed must have froze. So you guys go ahead.
There's one more here from L.Crypto, I think, for Grant. It just says, as mentioned many times, the launch of Mainnet is milestone based, but do you think Mainnet will be live by the end of Q2?
Bill, that's my goal, and ultimately, so at this stage, we're heavily dependent on third-party participants. So there's onboarding MNOs and getting that fully coordinated and getting but that is going well. That's good progress. We also have third-party orchestration with Layer 0 to enable the bridge. Telcoin network uses Telcoin as a native gas token. Telcoin already exists, but it doesn't exist. It can't exist on Telcoin network because it's on other chains. So there is a critical bridging component, and we're working with Layer 0 very closely to make sure that that's fully operational and well tested and secure as soon as possible. And then we also have third-party coordination with security researchers. So as I mentioned before, we're still finding a lot of value with our automated and AI tooling, but ultimately, one of the biggest benefits of that is that we're able to go through, filter, come at this code from a lot of different angles and reproduce and recycle these tools without having to pay for human hours, and still find meaningful results that helps us improve the protocol before we go to a final or to the next stage of like human assessments. When we do that, it is very expensive. So like for this is hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of expertise that we are prepared to spend and have that for the protocol to guarantee as much as we can guarantee the security of the protocol before going into mainnet. So really this that's those scans and those testing has been really beneficial for us to kind of and continue to find value in the short term. But once we move forward to those results, it's impossible to say exactly what if we get into a situation where we go to audit and we find our Spearbit partners find significant critical flaws and we have fundamental issues, that's going to significantly delay the project. What the benefit of using the AI scans right now is doing is it helps us catch these types of bugs early on before we go to these audits, because ultimately our goal is to pass these security assessments with flying colors, really stump the researchers so they say we can't find anything, and at that point we can be as confident as possible moving forward into production. So, you know, there's no point going into mainnet and launching mainnet if it's not secure and we lose all the funds. That would be completely irresponsible, and I'm determined to not let that happen. And so, you know, it is. I wish I had a crystal ball and I could say an exact date, because I'd probably get that tattooed on my forehead. But I don't, and so I will do my best to just keep the community updated with real-time updates and keeping the roadmap as up to date as possible. So
Awesome.
thank you everyone for your patience, and yeah, we'll get it done.
Great job, Grant.
Thanks,
I think we can all say great job. It's really awesome. Really, really great job. Andrew, you've got your hand up. Sorry.
Yeah, no, all good. Grant, great updates. Really good listen today. And again, I don't know if you guys can answer this question or not, but just out of curiosity, I know the Telcoin app is currently on Polygon. I would assume that down the road, there's going to be a migration to the Telcoin network once everything is live and up to date. From that perspective, I would still assume that any swaps facilitated through the app are going to have the cross-chain functionality, or at least operating on multiple chains. I guess the long way of saying my question is, when it comes to like incentives for developers and whatnot, the only thing we're incentivizing is transactions facilitated through the Telcoin network. If the essentially if the apps are on multiple chains, we're not incentivizing, you know, Polygon, Ethereum transactions. We're only incentivizing Telcoin network transactions, correct?
That is my current understanding, but I will say that, you know, ultimately that is the purview of the TAN Council and the developer seats in the Global Council. But in my opinion, that is my understanding of the goal. And ultimately, that's what it kind of feeds back into the whole ecosystem and how the platform is designed to grow and support itself over
definitely
time.
It brings people in if they're not going to be incentivized to work on other chains, right? Like that,
Yeah,
again,
exactly.
from a Telex perspective, like I'm just thinking kind of down the road too on how do we do this and whatnot. Again, I know our goal on the Telex Council is specifically to provide liquidity and increase that level of liquidity. But is that going to be specific to Telcoin network? Is it going to be across multiple chains? So I guess that's kind of, you know, at least the thought process to where that question came from.
Definitely, yeah. And I think, you know, with part of the responsibility of the association is Tel the token, you know, and with Tel existing on other EVM chains and sort of that expansiveness, you know, I think it is in our favor to support liquidity on other chains and to, you know, but also, you know, from a Telcoin network perspective, ensuring that it's as easy to get to Telcoin network as possible, and that there's a really good reason to be on Telcoin network. And that's because we're going to be faster and cheaper and, you know, just really scaling, and it's going to be great user experience. We want to prioritize DeFi. And so, yeah, I think, you know, there's a lot of exciting opportunities to come. I'm really looking forward to that next chapter where Telcoin is launched, the Telcoin network is launched, and we can start building on it and improving, you know, not only just applications and the DeFi applications and the DeFi layer, but also, you know, how the protocol can help to further support that, because we've really built this from the ground up, not because we wanted to take forever to launch mainnet. It was so that we have a foundation set that would let us really scale the platform up how we need to scale it up, so that it is taking on the 7 billion, 8 billion plus subscribers on these mobile network operators, and just all those different use cases that can be put on chain. So yeah, it's a really exciting thought to look forward to, Andrew. So, you know, if you have any more thoughts or, like, you know, ideas on that, I'm happy to talk about it, because I think we're finally getting to that point now where it's no longer an abstract concept about, you know, what will Telcoin network be like. It's, you know, with testnet officially launching very soon, then, you know, it's go time. So now's the right time to be thinking about that.
Yeah, no, if you've if you know me well enough, I know I got a lot of thoughts and opinions, so we'll definitely connect down the road. I know we've been talking, like Ty mentioned earlier, a little bit more on the Telex side, trying to anticipate kind of where things are going, longer term visions, and, you know, all that kind of stuff. So it'll be good to connect, I think, with specifically at least us on the Telex Council, with you and the devs on a bigger picture, longer term time frame, and kind of take it from there. But no, I appreciate that.
Absolutely. Great stuff. Keep it up.
All right.
Awesome.
We don't have any more questions in the chat. I can see my feed now again. Last one I'll mention is just somebody's wishing Steve a swift recovery, right? For those of you that don't know, Steve is an ex-council member who had a little bit of a scare with a heart attack. So he's recovering, and I think it's appropriate just to give Steve a shout out and say hope he's recovering well. So we appreciate you, buddy, if you're listening, and speedy recovery.
He is, just to give a little more of an update, he is doing well. He's at home. It's a day by day, kind of week by week thing, but things are progressing, and he's recovering pretty fast. So he's doing pretty well.
Thanks, Andrew.
Awesome. Very good. So I think that's it on the questions.
Yep. James, if I could, just another reminder really quickly for the next council meetings, please. Next week, 3 p.m. Eastern, Wednesday, Telex, and then 5 p.m. Eastern, Thursday, TAN. And the TAN call will have another fun announcement to make, so don't miss that one.
Yep.
And don't miss the Telex one either.
I was just gonna say, don't miss the Telex one either. I was gonna interject earlier when you said that, but yeah, I let it slide. But the second time,
I might be a little biased,
Don't miss any of the calls. In other words, don't miss any of the calls. We're cooking over here, guys. And the next meetings for the Platform and Treasury Council are going to be April 9th, April 23rd, and May 7th. All right. So if we don't have anything else, thank you everyone for joining our 34th council meeting. 2026 is the year of Telcoin. Mainnet's coming. MNO validators are setting up. Telecom blockchain standard is becoming a reality. Thanks for attending, everyone, and we'll see you again in 2 weeks. Thanks so much, guys.
Thank you. Thanks, y'all.
Cheers, everyone.
Thank you.